everybody. Hope you've had a great week. Looking forward to seeing everybody again very soon. We miss everybody at church, but hope you're doing well at home or on vacation. And we do really, really miss you. We're going to be talking about one of the fruits of the Spirit for the next several weeks. We're going to be talking about kindness. Pastor Dave preached a sermon several weeks ago about kindness, and there's a lot to say about it, and I wanted to talk about that specifically for several weeks. The Bible has a lot to say about kindness. It matters very much how we treat each other, and Jesus taught us that it's very important how we treat others. We're going to hear a story today about being kind, even to people who we don't like, people that could be our enemies. It's the story of the Good Samaritan, or some places that call it the Kind Samaritan. And it's an excellent story about kindness. Jesus told this story to the people that were gathered around him to teach them about being kind. Jesus modeled kindness in how he treated others, and he talked a lot about it. So this is the story of the Good Samaritan, and it's found in Luke chapter 10, verses 25 to 37. And you can look at the pictures here while I read. An expert in God's law came down where Jesus taught one day and asked a question of the Lord to see what he would say. Love your neighbor as yourself, God tells us in his word, but just who is my neighbor? The lawyer asked the Lord. The lawyer loved his fellow Jews, but not Samaritans. He called them dogs and would refuse to even look at them. So Jesus told a story of a Jew who had to go on a journey from Jerusalem to the town of Jericho. On the way, some thieves or robbers jumped out. They stripped and beat the man till he was bruised and bleeding. Then they grabbed their loot and ran. They ran off with all of his money and things he had. The man lay groaning by the road. A temple priest walked near. The man groaned louder, but the priest pretended not to hear. Perhaps the priest thought, what a shame, this man is in distress. But if I stop to ease his pain, my robe will be a mess. Next, a Levite came along who helped the temple priest. But when he saw the wounded man, his walking speed increased. He walked right on by that man. The Levite may have told himself while scurrying away, surely someone else will stop. I haven't time today. The wounded man grew weaker as the hours dragged on by. If someone didn't help him soon, it looked like he would die. He's over here off the road. Then the poor man heard a sound, a slow clip-clop, clip-clop. A Samaritan came round the bend, then made his donkey stop. The Samaritan rushed down, although he knew that it was true that he and all his countrymen were hated by this Jew. The Samaritan did all he could to help his enemy. He bathed and bandaged all his wounds and nursed him tenderly. When the man was strong enough, the stranger helped him ride on the donkey while he walked slowly by its side. It was getting very late when, what a welcome sight, they saw a little roadside inn where they could spend the night. The next day, the Samaritan told the owner of the inn, I'll pay you well to nurse this man till I come back again. Now Jesus asked the lawyer, of the three, which would you say truly was a neighbor to the man robbed on his way? The lawyer said, the one who stopped and helped to ease his pain. Then Jesus told the lawyer, now go and do the same. We can all be the neighbors like the Samaritan that day, share God's love with everyone we meet along life's way. And there's some more pictures right here that had some posters that were some neat drawings of what it may have looked like for the Samaritan who helped the man that was in such trouble. And it's a very, very good story about what it means to be kind. It's about 17 miles from Jericho to Jerusalem, and at that time, when Jesus told this story, it was a very dangerous road. Lots of places that people could hide and steal from people, and it happened frequently. And so people understood what Jesus was talking about on this road. Well, we'll just talk about what happened here with these little figures. Here's the man that was going along the road, and he had his things with him, and the robbers came out and attacked him, and he was lying on the ground on that road between Jerusalem and Jericho. Well, the first person that came by, the priest, saw him, and he couldn't really avoid him, and he just didn't have time. He didn't stop. He just walked on by. He might have felt bad, but he didn't help that poor man. The next one was a Levite, someone that worked in the temple, and he also saw the man as he walked by, but he did not stop and help. He just went on his way. And there the poor man lay. He probably thought he was just going to die. Well, here comes the Samaritan, and he's clopping along on the donkey, and he comes along, and he sees and hears the man maybe groaning, and he just immediately went down and helped him. It said he bandaged his wounds and put oil on them. They didn't have ambulances or medics or anybody like that then. They just had to help each other. And it said they put him on his donkey, and they went down the road, and they came to an inn. And the Samaritan asked the innkeeper if he could leave the man here till he came back from his trip, and he would pay him some money to watch over the man and take good care of him. What's so amazing about this story is that the Samaritan and the man that was hurt were enemies. They did not like each other. And he still reached out and helped the poor man because he needed help. He and the innkeeper both showed a lot of kindness to this stranger. It shows what a real neighbor is, the one who helped ease the pain, is what Jesus said in the story. That they gave whatever was needed. He gave money, he gave his time, he gave the man help with his wounds, and he did what he needed to help this man. We don't have to look very far to find wounded people in our world. We have neighbors and friends and family, people in our community that are hurting. It's not always a physical hurt. Sometimes our feelings are hurt. Sometimes we hurt because we don't have enough money to do something. We don't have enough money to feed our family, and that is a wound that hurts in a family or in a person. So we can think of things, even as children, to do to help other people. We can give. We talk a lot about the food drive that we're having. You can give to that. You can give clothes. You can give money. You can also, for people that you know about, you can make cards and send cards, draw a picture. People love to have things like that cheer them up. You can take flowers. Sometimes we make food for other people. But there's a lot of things we can do, and sometimes we also can just listen to people and reach out to them and pay attention to people that are hurting. We also have people in our community that don't get along with each other, and so think of ways, talk about it with your family, ways that you can bring peace and help to bring peace and kindness to people who don't treat each other well. When we do something kind and helpful and we're loving our neighbor, we are obeying God, because it's one of the commandments that we are to love our neighbors. It's only possible to share that love, though, through the redeeming sacrifice of Jesus. We can't do it on our own. He gave the ultimate example when he died for us of love and kindness toward his people. I wanted to tell you about a group that you may know about called Samaritan's Purse, and it actually is headquartered in Boone, and it helps people all over the world that are suffering from war and poverty and famine and disease, like the virus that's going around now. There's lots of groups that do that, but it's neat because it's called Samaritan's Purse, and it's named after the Good Samaritan story. I wanted to show you something here that I'm going to talk about a little bit more in a couple more weeks, and you may have done these before. The Operation Christmas Child, and it says Samaritan's Purse, Operation Christmas Child, and we provide shoe boxes for children around the world, and we put toys and school supplies and different things like that inside the box, and it's sent to people and way far away. They take them sometimes on boats like this, and sometimes here these children going through a river with their boxes, and here they are riding on a bicycle. But anyway, it's to children that are hurting and in pain and having difficulties. And Samaritan's Purse helps through Operation Christmas Child to provide a really, really neat gift to those children. We're going to talk about the Samaritan's Purse project in a few more weeks. You may know that our church's mission statement is loving God, loving people, and making disciples. And so to close with, I want to read what Jesus was talking about when he told the story of the Good Samaritan. Jesus replied, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself." Amen.